Davy finally loses her virginity to Ben, but the pair feels awkward about what they just did. Ben tells her that he should hit the hay and offers to call her an Uber. Davy's friends are shocked to learn that she had sex with Ben Gross. Davy thinks she is bad at sex because, judging from Ben's face afterwards, he was embarrassed for her. She admits that she doesn't love him, but she really likes him. Fabiola advises her to text him. Meanwhile, Ben is working out at the gym. He then spots Dwight Howard, the NBA player, and introduces himself. He confides in him that the other night he had sex with someone he really cares about for the first time, and it was really bad. He is certain that Davy thought it sucked, so she got up and sprinted out. Davy is about to send Ben a thirsty text when her friends stop her. They advise her to pretend she is Kristen Stewart and text him something cool. She asks Ben if he want to meet up later at Starbucks. He shows it to Howard, who doesn't think she's into him. He advises him to find somebody who's not gonna have his head spinning like that, as a relationship should be easy. Ben texts Davy back and declines her invitation. 3 months later, Davy starts her morning praying that Dr. Keyes will write her recommendation. Davy's mom got a new car, and so she gives her the old one for Davy to drive to school. Paxton is in college and video calls Trent to talk about it. He mentions his roommate Dylan. He's glad he made the decision to go to ASU. Trent talks about his relationship with Eleanor. Paxton's college mates then show up and talk about throwing a rager. Paxton proposes doing it in his room. Davy and her friends talk about finally becoming seniors and having all had sex. Fabiola is also dating a college kid. She managed to recruit new kids for the robotics team. Davy hides behind her friends when she sees Ben. She's not ready to talk to him yet. She is focused on sweet-talking Dr. Mary Jean Keyes, a conservative legend at Sherman Oaks High, as she needs her to write a college recommendation for her. She offers her Harry and David pairs, and Dr. Keyes praises Davy. Davy finally decides to talk to Ben about that awkward night, but then she sees him kissing Margot. She confronts him about ignoring her all summer, after taking her virginity. Ben reminds her that she bolted out of his room right afterward, looking uncomfortable. Margot then turns up as she overheard her bad-mouthing her. The two girls argue, with Davy criticizing Ben Gross's circumcised dick. Dr. Keyes happens to be there and overhears everything. Shocked, she faints and the two girls are called into the principal's office. Principal Grubbs makes the two girls apologize to one another. Davy then visits Dr. Ryan for a session. She talks about Ben and his new girlfriend. The therapist believes that Davy has feelings for Ben, but Davy denies it. She feels hurt as he slept with her but decided not to be with her. Dr. Ryan consoles her, saying that she is a smart, beautiful young lady. She also advises her to vent by writing down all the mean things she wants to say about this girl so she can get it out of her system. Paxton feels out of place during the rager. He hides in the bathroom and looks at pictures of his friends as he misses them. Davy apologizes to Margot, saying that she was just really hurt and it made her lash out. The two girls make up, but then Davy drops the notebook where she wrote mean things about Margot as part of therapy. Margot reads them and storms out. Trent proposes to Eleanor in front of the students, but she rejects him. In the car, she tells him that they're still kids, so they can't make this kind of major life decision. Trent tells her that if she can't commit to him for eternity, then he has to set her free, and the pair break up. Davy explains to Ben that what she wrote about Margot was part of a therapeutic exercise. Ben then apologizes for ghosting her that day. He admits that he was embarrassed because it was his first time too. That night made him realize that they shouldn't be together. They're both just insecure and competitive, and they always manage to hurt each other. When Davy heads back to her car, she screams when she sees Stupid B spray-painted on the side of her car. Nalini sees the ruined car and learns that Davy got into a fight with a girl. Nalini and Davy talk to the principal and ask Margot's parents to pay for the damages. Mr. Ramos insists that his daughter would never vandalize a car as she is a well-behaved young woman. The principal states that they'll be conducting their own investigation. Nalini then learns that Davy and Margot are fighting over Ben, so she makes Davy pay for her own car repairs. She must use her savings even if it means not going on her New York trip. Fabiola learns from Anissa that girls don't join robotics because her team is misogynistic. Davy meets Ms. Warner for their first official college meeting of her senior year. Davy is actually applying for Princeton. Ms. Warner then mentions the New York trip. She needs Davy's deposit to secure her seat on Kirkland Air, but Davy needs the money to repair her car. When she goes to the mechanic, she is shocked to learn the repair fee is $1,100. Kamala visits the house and discovers that Patty is dating a new man called Len. Davy tells her besties that she can't go on the New York trip because she has to pay to fix her car. It's gonna cost her all the money she earned this summer working at her mom's office. Eleanor tells the girls that she has a crush on Ethan. She describes him as beautiful and dangerous. Davy tells Ben that his girlfriend wrecked her car. She wonders how he can date someone who is actively trying to hurt her, and she tells him that she wouldn't stand by and let someone do that to him. Davy talks to Ms. Nooney and learns that contrary to Margot's alibi, there was no class yesterday. Ben walks in on Margot breaking things as she is making a decorative mosaic. He asks her if she spray-painted Davy's car, but Margot is sad to learn that Ben trusts Davy more than her. Just then, Principal Grubbs calls her into her office. The Spanish teacher asks Ethan to write the pets he has on the board. Davy notices that Ethan writes his T's in the same way as Margot. She asks him if he wrote Stupid B on her car. He apologizes, saying that he thought it was the teacher's car, as she gave him an F on a worksheet. Principal Grubbs confronts Margot about lying and considers suspending her. Just then, Davy comes and explains everything, and she apologizes to Margot. Fabiola talks to the science club members as she wants more girls to join her tech club. Michelle explains that the men in the tech club talked down to her when she tried to join. Fabiola promises to change the culture of her club. Ben tells Davy that he can't speak to her anymore as Margot asked him. Davy then confronts Ethan as he is responsible for everything that has happened so far. She threatens to beat him with his skateboard unless he gets her car fixed. Paxton shows up at school as he's got an interview. And Fabiola scolds her members for being unwelcoming to women. She stresses that from this day forward, the club will be inviting and inclusive. Michelle from the science club finally joins them. Nalini learns that Patty is dating a new man and is happy for her. Ethan then shows up at Davy's house to fix her car with only a spray that costs $13. She realizes that she almost got ripped off earlier by that mechanic. Ethan confesses that he's never been yelled at like that before, and admits that he finds that sexy. Davy has a sex dream about Ethan where he praises her for betraying her friend Eleanor. Nalini falls on the stairs, but Patty already called the contractor that her boyfriend Len recommended. It's Margot's dad, and Nalini reluctantly hires him after Davy falls on the stairs too. Davy tries to avoid Ethan as she doesn't want to betray her best friend. Paxton started working as the assistant swim coach. Davy advises him not to give up college. Davy then reunites with her besties and they watch as Ethan takes off his hoodie. Moments later, he announces that he's having a party at his place and he invites the 3 girls. Paxton thinks that he made a mistake leaving college so soon and asks Trent for his advice. Ben is still giving Davy the silent treatment. When Miss Thompson asks them to pair up for an assignment, he decides to engage with other peers. When Nalini returns home, she is shocked to see that the stairs are gone. Andres informs her that the house had larger termite infestation and the whole staircase was about to go. At the party, Davy watches Ben and Margot having fun, so she decides to get some air and drink outside. Ethan joins her and the pair starts kissing. Eleanor catches them and storms out angrily. Davy explains that she likes him too, but Eleanor points out that he kissed her too 15 minutes ago. Fabiola intervenes and reminds them not to let a boy ruin their friendship. The 2 girls make a promise to stay away from him and hug it out. It's been 5 days without stairs.
and Nalini concludes that Andres scammed them. She decides to confront him. Mr. Paxton is welcomed into the athletics department. Lindsay Thompson is also a new sub, and the two have a chat about school. Ethan invites Davy to join him at the parking lot during lunch as he'll be skating. Davy then overhears Ben talking to Margot and learns that the silent treatment was his idea. Heartbroken, she heads to see Ethan and spots Eleanor there. The two girls argue for breaking their promises. Just then, a skater trips and bumps into Davy. Nalini confronts Andres while Kamala films him. They plan to expose him online. He admits that he is spiteful and is still a little mad about what went down between their girls. Nalini learns that he's raising Margot on his own, since his wife ran off in the middle of the night to open an erotic toy store in Las Vegas with her new boyfriend. He promises to fix her stairs first thing tomorrow. Eleanor tends to Davy's wounds and lets her have Ethan. She admits that she just missed Trent and wanted the distraction. Trent learns that Eleanor kissed Ethan and is heartbroken about it. Paxton consoles him. Paxton then overhears the new Hot Pocket calling him pathetic. Ethan is waiting by Davy's car to make sure she's okay. He also asks her out. Davy accepts as long as he doesn't kiss her friends, and they kiss.
Davy is dating Ethan. They're shown kissing all the time at school, and they eventually sleep together. The college fair then comes, and Davy prepares herself to talk to the admissions officer, who would decide whether she got into Princeton. She is determined to make an incredible first impression. Ms. Warner advises her to break up with Ethan, as she doesn't want anyone to drag her down. But Davy assures her that she can do a bad boy and a good college at the same time. Fabiola's mom tells Ms. Warner that she wants her daughter to apply early to an Ivy. Fabiola stresses that she can't apply for Princeton since it's insanely selective. Besides, Davy would kill her if she messes with her shot. Her mom disagrees and expects her to look at all of the schools at the fair, including Princeton. Paxton is feeling a little insecure ever since he overheard the new Hot Pocket calling him pathetic. Davy introduces herself to the Princeton's rep, who happens to be Indian too. The officer asks her to wait in line, but Davy ignores her and keeps talking about herself. Feeling angry, the officer dismisses her. Davy realizes that she just screwed up her chance at Princeton, and Ethan tries to console her. She begs Akshara for another chance. She stresses that she really wanted to go to Princeton ever since she was a little girl, but the pressure got to her. The two ladies enjoy lunch together where Davy talks about her family. They're interrupted by Ethan, who praises Davy for being the smartest person he's ever met. He shows Akshara the honor roll list that he took off the wall of the principal's office, and Davy appreciates his gesture. Ben couldn't talk to Columbia rep as he felt stressed and couldn't stop sweating. He practices his speech for Margot, but she advises him to try a version that sounds more like him, which is more conversational. He then stains his shirt with paint. He heads to his locker looking for another one. Davy lets him borrow hers and urges him to go talk to Columbia. Fabiola learns that Princeton has a phenomenal robotics team and the best program in the Ivy League. Ben manages to calm a bit and talks to the Columbia's admission officer. As Davy and Ethan make out, she notices Akshara's wallet and realizes that he stole it. He claims that she deserved it for icing her out. Davy realizes that he is a bad person, and so she breaks up with him. She then heads to Akshara's room and returns her wallet. The Princeton rep appreciates her honesty and thinks that Davy has a bright future ahead of her as long as she stops dating thieves. Paxton thinks that he is a loser now, but Trent reminds him that he is the king of this jungle. Paxton then confronts Shrimp and threatens to give him Saturday detention for the rest of the year if he ever makes fun of him again. Ben and Davy are shown submitting early decision applications. Fabiola listens to her mom and decides to apply to Princeton. A week has passed since Davy had broken up with Ethan. Now she's finally headed on Ms. Warner's New York trip, where she'll get a glimpse of what her future might be. Davy is so pumped to see their dream schools. Fabiola tries to tell her the truth about applying to Princeton too, but lies and says that she applied to Yale.
Ms. Warner and Mr. Shapiro reveal that they will be taking tours as big groups. Eleanor Wong has her audition at Juilliard. Ben Gross's father organized a private tour of Columbia. Davy is visiting Princeton and spending the night with Sherman Oaks icon Blair Kwan. When Davy was a freshman, Blair Kwan was the top senior student at Sherman Oaks High who had gotten into Princeton early. Pamela tells Nalini that Patty's boyfriend Len brought a woman into the house while she was napping. Nalini reminds her that she had a lot of Valium that day and might be mistaken. Nalini then expresses her joy as she'll have the house to herself for the first time in 17 years, but Andres wishes her good luck, as it's hard to be alone when she's not used to it. At Princeton, Davy and Blair meet. She shows her the Armstrong Inn, the eating club that she belongs to. Ms. Warner knows that Fabiola hasn't told Davy that she applied to Princeton. She advises her to prioritize herself and go see if that school is right for her. Eleanor does her audition at Juilliard, but the judge doesn't think she's a good actress. He assures her that she'll find her path. Davy is in awe. She's mixing and mingling. She does shots and dances, and she is excited about her future life. Fabiola texts Davy to see what she's doing. She learns that she is at a party, so she and Eleanor and Ben decide to join her. Blair is scolded and fired by her boss as she's supposed to stay behind the bar. It turns out Blair isn't a student anymore. Meanwhile, Nalini enjoys the house to herself, but then she starts getting bored and finds that the silence is deafening. Andres pays a visit as he left his phone in her kitchen. She begs him to stay with her and talk about whatever he wants. It turns out Blair partied non-stop and failed all her classes. She admits that she was so burnt out after high school, and once she was in college, she didn't have her mom there to badger her, so she got lost. Davy realizes that the hardest part about college isn't the schoolwork, it's being on her own and not knowing who she is. She underestimated how hard the transition to college might be, so she calls Paxton to apologize for giving him a hard time about ASU. Davy's besties along with Ben show up. Davy consoles a depressed Eleanor and assures her that she is an amazing actor. The three girls then start dancing. A college guy then starts hitting on Davy. Ben intervenes but gets punched in the face. Outside, Davy admits that college is way scarier than she thought it would be. Ben assures her that she's nothing like Blair, as she made many mistakes, goes to parties, and knows who she is. Ben is also depressed as he feels that he's too stupid to go to Columbia. The students he met knew so much about the world, and they read articles from magazines that he'd never even heard of. Ben even had to look up some big words on his phone. Davy reassures him and admits that she wants them to be friends, and Ben agrees. Just then, Ms. Warner and Mr. Shapiro announce that the trip is cancelled and they'll all fly home tomorrow morning. Davy is feeling good as she fixed her relationship with Ben and is hopeful again about her future at Princeton.
Davy is about to know her fate with Princeton. Her mom reminds her that whatever happens, she's gonna be alright. Davy realizes that her mom doesn't think she'll get in. She then hears from Ben that Princeton admitted someone from her school, but then she learns that she was deferred. Her mom assures her that getting deferred is not a rejection, but Davy believes that her own mom thinks she's an idiot. Ms. Warner consoles Davy, saying that she's an excellent student who just happened to apply to a very competitive college. She advises her to apply to other Ivies. Davy asks who got into Princeton, but Ms. Warner refuses to say. Davy reunites with her besties and vows to figure out who the snake that got into Princeton is. Fabiola tells her that she didn't get into Yale. Davy asks Paxton if there are any sports that require a little to no exercise, as she wants to get a varsity letter for doing that. Fabiola tells Eleanor that she's the one who got into Princeton. Elle advises her not to confess to Davy and hopes she forgets. Ben tells Margot that he got into Columbia and wants to celebrate with her, but Margot has a student art show after school and an alumni gallery owner's coming. If he likes her stuff, he might show it. Kamala and Dr. Logan meet. The latter was appointed director of the Center for Global Health at Johns Hopkins. She asks Kamala to join her and move to Maryland in 3 weeks. Kamala isn't sure as she has a lot going on. Just then, she spots Patty's boyfriend Len talking to a young woman and deduces that he is cheating on her grandma. She thanks Dr. Logan for the amazing opportunity and asks to give her some time to mull it over.
Ms. Warner knows that Fabiola hasn't told Davy yet. She urges her to come to the barbecue in the faculty lot, as she's not gonna run into Davy. She stresses that she deserves to celebrate the amazing achievement. Davy tells Paxton that Princeton deferred her, so she needs to see what she can add to her resume to make herself seem more desirable to them. The coach hires her and asks her to get the new Speedos out of his trunk. In the parking lot, Davy realizes that she can find the Princeton snake. She spots Fabiola and sees on the monitor that she got into Princeton. Feeling angry, she walks away. Margot and Ben attend her event. Ben then overhears her saying to an art critic that her relationship with Ben isn't serious. Feeling heartbroken, he storms out. Davy heads home, slamming doors, and tells her family about Fabiola applying to Princeton behind her back. Kamala then shows up, slamming doors too, and tells Patty about Len. Patty brushes off her claims, saying that she's not worried about Len running around on her, as she keeps him very satisfied. Kamala and Nalini then discover that Patty is rich. After her husband's death, she invested all her money into Apple. Just then, Len turns up and proposes to Patty, who accepts to marry him. Addison notices that Fabiola seems sad and advises her to talk to Davy. The next day, Fabiola tries to apologize to Davy, but the latter refuses to forgive her. Margot tells Ben that Kate's putting her paint in his gallery. Ben confesses that it was rough to hear his girlfriend of 6 months say that their relationship isn't very serious. Margot explains that she was just trying to impress the guy because the art world is judgy. Ben deduces that she feels embarrassed of him, so he decides to break up with her. Davy tells Paxton about Fabiola. He thinks that she is being a little dramatic and advises her not to ruin their friendship. He explains that Fabiola couldn't tell her because she knew she'd flip out, and this is not worth losing a good friend over. During a history project, Fabiola presents and implies that she's really sorry that she let her best ally down at the beginning of World War II. She starts crying and walks out. Davy hugs her and apologizes for making her feel like she couldn't talk to her. Fabiola confesses that when they visited Princeton, she didn't feel a spark, so she's going to apply to other colleges. Eleanor is glad that her besties made up and announces that she is graduating in 2 days, as she wants to be an actor and start her professional career now. Davy's therapist explains that if her Princeton dream has so much power over her self-worth, maybe it's not serving her. Davy then recalls her conversation with her dad when she was a little girl and stresses that she won't give up on that dream yet. Kamala tells Dr. Logan that she can't move to Baltimore because her family needs her. Nalini apologizes to Davy about the misunderstanding earlier and explains that she was just protecting her from the kind of disappointment. But she absolutely believes in her. She urges her not to give up. Davy learns that Ben and Margot broke up, which means that he's single now. Paxton is back being the king of the jungle. He attends a staff meeting. Miss Thompson is looking for some volunteers, but no one wants to help out. Paxton refuses to help Mr. Shapiro, claiming that he is a busy guy. Eric tries out for the swim team, but fails to make the cut. He begs Paxton to train him, and he reluctantly agrees for a couple times after school. Davy shows up in the boys' locker room and tells Paxton that she really needs to get into Princeton. Paxton and Trent discuss the Oculus. Some boys overhear them and ask if they can attend. However, more people show up, and his get-together turns into a huge rager. Davy also turns up and realizes that Paxton isn't having fun. He is afraid that someone might find out about it. Just then, Lindsay shows up to give a drunk kid a ride. She is shocked that Paxton is having a party with the students in his house. The next day, he swears to her that he didn't plan the party. Lindsay advises him to get his act together. Paxton trains Eric but asks him to give up, but Eric wants to keep trying to achieve his dream. He trains hard and becomes faster. Davy praises Paxton as Eric got better. The pair then gets stuck in the supplies closet with no phones. They chat about their aspirations. He confides in her that he left ASU because no one there liked him. Davy then tells him that she is a sexually successful senior as she slept with Ben and Ethan. He is surprised to hear that. She confesses that he was right when he told her that he couldn't be with her until she liked herself. She realizes that they're equals now, but he tells her that she's way too good for him, and the pair kiss. Coach catches them and warns Paxton after scolding him. At home, Paxton tells his mom that he is such a failure. She reassures him that he is still young and figuring himself out, and it's okay if he hits some bumps on the road as they don't have to define him. Eric tries again in front of Coach and makes the cut. He hugs Paxton. Davy congratulates Paxton for changing someone's life. She then talks about the kiss and admits that it did feel like closure. Just then, Ben shows up and he and Davy start insulting each other. Paxton points out that he can sense the vibes between them, but Davy denies it. Paxton decides to volunteer for the student help hotline and help Lindsay. The rest of the staff also help since he is in. Davy and Ben are back texting each other. She then notices Nalini and Andres flirting in the kitchen. She admits to her besties that she is cool with it and decides to help her mom get him. Eleanor got a job as an extra in a movie to be a corpse. Her agent advised her to network so she can't go to prom with her besties. Kamala is certain that Len is hatching a plan with his mistress to steal Patty's money, but Nalini advises her to let it go. Davy tells her mom that she's cool with her dating Andres. She suggests she invites him to Patty's party dinner. The next day, Andres shows up at their house and Nalini invites him, but he declines given the complicated situation with their daughters. Davy overheard that and decides to make up with Margot. She thinks that their parents make a cute couple. She reminds her that her dad will feel lonely once she leaves for college. Margot agrees with her and decides to pretend they're friends. Trent tells Ben that he doesn't need to do his assignments anymore since he got accepted in Columbia. He offers to teach him how to be a chill person. Margot and Davy see their parents flirting. Andres is surprised to learn that his daughter is hanging out with Davy, so he decides to accept Nalini's invitation after all. During dinner, Len gets a call and takes it upstairs. Kamala eavesdrops on his conversation as he tells someone that they have to stick to the plan and wait till after the wedding. Eleanor runs into her mom on the movie set. It turns out she abandoned her and left her in shambles. She claims that she had to leave to achieve her dream of becoming an actor. Eleanor feels sorry for her and lets her act as a corpse for the publicity still. Margot tells Davy that she still has feelings for Ben. Davy is surprised to learn that Ben is texting her too. Margot shows her his texts and Davy concludes that she's clearly in the friend zone. Kamala asks Davy to hack into Len's phone. She discovers that he's been calling his baby, so Kamala texts her asking her to come to Patty's house in order to confront him. Ben and Trent hang out and get high on gummies. Ben shares that he had a sexual dream about Davy. Trent deduces that he must love her and urges him to go see her right away and tell her how he feels. Ben shows up to see Davy with flowers. Margot confronts Davy, but she promises that she and Ben are just friends. Ben reveals that he's on drugs. Len shows up with a cake that he baked for Patty, the apple of his eye. Ben hallucinates that the eye is moving, so he pushes Len. Just then, Baby shows up. It turns out Baby is her name, and she's a real estate agent. Patty reveals that she and Len are buying a family vacation condo. Len tells Kamala that he loves her grandma, and he hopes to convince her someday that he'll never hurt her. Kamala admits that she turned down an incredible job recently and regrets it. Nalini advises her to take it and stresses that change is good and necessary. Eleanor tells her besties that they're more important to her than acting, so she's absolutely in for prom. Davy apologizes to Margot for the other night. Margot is embarrassed as Ben told her that he's texting her because he wanted to end the year as friends. Davy consoles her, saying that she has feelings for him too, but he doesn't like her either. Margot laughs as they're both rejects and starts feeling better. She'd also be happy if their parents start dating. Andres visits Nalini and kisses her. Davy walks in on them, smiles, then leaves. Princeton announces its decision, and Davy screams when she discovers that she is waitlisted, and the other 7 universities rejected her. Davy didn't get into any college, and Nalini checks up on her as she heard her scream. She lies and says that she was accepted everywhere. Her besties congratulate her as they heard the good news from their parents. Ms. Warner learned that Ben has been skipping classes and hasn't turned in any homework for the last few weeks. She warns him that if he fails his classes, Columbia will rescind its acceptance. Trent notices that Eleanor seems sad. She tells him about her mom. She is worried that she won't make it as an actress, but he consoles her and advises her to become a director.
Ms. Warner praises Davy for being an excellent student and says that if she doesn't get into Princeton, she can apply again next fall. Fabiola meets Dr. Leela Tai, the head of robotics at Howard. The latter is impressed that Fabiola created an AI in high school. She urges her to join Howard University as it has a cutting-edge engineering department. Davy considers telling her mom the truth, but then the principal announces on speaker that Davy got accepted to every single Ivy League school. Feeling sick, Davy barfs in the wastebasket of the classroom where Ben is catching up on his homework. She hears about his probation and scolds him for throwing away such a precious opportunity. She then decides to help him. Later, she gets ready for prom. Akshara calls her and asks her to write an essay that shows them who she really is. She wants to tell her mom the truth, but Nalini starts talking about the time Davy's dad asked her to come to America. So now that she sees how Davy turned out, it makes all the hardships she went through worth it. Davy joins her besties in the limo. They drink vodka to drown their sorrows and start screaming. The driver gets into a minor accident. Davy cries and reveals that she didn't get into any college. Her besties console her as they drink vodka. Fabiola reveals that she wants to go to Howard. Davy decides not to write the essay since her chances are slim to none. Eleanor decided to take some directing classes. Eleanor visits Trent to tell him about her feelings for him. She wants to be with him and the two kiss. Ben overhears her as she talks about Davy, who didn't get into a single college. Paxton and Lindsay are on bathroom duty. She reveals that when she was in high school, her parents went through a messy divorce and her grades started to slip. One teacher wouldn't let her fail, so she chose to become a teacher to change someone's life like that. Davy heads home and Ben sneaks into her room through the window. He is there to console her about her college situation. He urges her to write the essay and reminds her that she's not a quitter. She must try everything she can or else she'll regret it. As they chat, they both fall asleep. The next morning, Nalini scolds her for lying to her about being accepted everywhere and for only applying to Ivies. Davy realizes that she is stupid for doing that and asks for some alone time. Her therapist reminds Davy that when she first met her, she was a closed-off, angry teenager, but now she gets in touch with her feelings and she is a survivor. So compared to everything she's already overcome, she can do anything she puts her mind to. The two women get emotional and start crying as Davy hugs her. Paxton wants to come back to college and transfer to the undergraduate teachers' college. Davy writes her essay about her father, who shaped who she is. She came up with the dream of going to Princeton with her dad and admits that she held on to Princeton so that she could keep holding on to him. So if they accept her, she promises not to take a second of it for granted because she'd be living that dream not just for her alone. Davy tells Ben that she got into Princeton. He congratulates her and hugs her, but comments that he really deserves the credit for making her write that essay. She wants to celebrate the news with him sometime over the summer, but he reveals that he is leaving right after graduation to take an internship at a law firm in New York. Davy seems heartbroken to hear that. They've been enemies for 12 years and now it's over. He admits that he's gonna miss having a nemesis. She is sure that he'll meet someone he hates in college and forget all about her, but he says that he doesn't think that's possible. McEnroe narrates that Davy's victory was bittersweet because something else she wanted seemed to be slipping away. Graduation day comes and Davy crosses the finish line with her besties. She's also named valedictorian. The next day, Ben leaves for New York, so Davy enjoys an epic last summer with her besties. Patty is planning her wedding the same weekend Davy goes to college. She picked up all her wedding jewels. Davy must pack that night and leave at 6 a.m. Sunday morning because Aravind uncle will be sleeping in her room. Eleanor and Fabiola come over that night and watch The Masked Singer together for the last time. Davy assures them that they're gonna see each other when they come back for Thanksgiving, but the girls reveal that they have other plans. Davy realizes that they won't be seeing each other until next summer, which is a year away from now. Nalini interrupts their chat to remind Davy to pack. Davy isn't ready to say goodbye yet. Patty invites them all to her wedding. She wants Paxton to come too. As Davy packs her suitcase, she thinks of Ben and recalls their moments together. In New York, Ben and the other interns from his firm are at their favorite club. Ben is thinking about Davy when she sends him a text. The wedding comes and Patty looks beautiful. Davy and her friends have fun. Lindsay and Paxton attend the wedding and the two are dating. Davy then chats with the elderly guests who all make her dread going to college. Kamala shows up and comforts her. She wonders if Davy and Ben are dating because he showed up at their house with flowers while he was on drugs. And Kamala thinks that people get really honest when they're on drugs. Besides, he was dropping by and announced a lot. Davy, however, thinks that Ben only sees her as a friend. She thanks Kamala for being a really great big sister to her. Davy and her besties drink in her room and have a little toast. They promise to see each other sooner. Fabiola feels scared of moving so far away and calls Davy brave for doing that. She confesses that Davy is the reason they did anything in high school. Without her, they'd still be eating lunch in the teacher's lounge. Nalini reminds Davy to pack and advises her to start being a responsible adult. Patty notices that Nalini has been scolding Davy all night and realizes that she is scared that she is leaving. She advises her to enjoy her last night with her and let her go. Nalini looks at Davy as she plays the harp and gets teary-eyed. She then helps Davy as she doesn't know how to pack. Davy is having cold feet and realizes that she can't do anything without her mom. Nalini admits that she is a little scared about saying goodbye and reminds her that her father would have been really proud of her. The mother and daughter then cry and hug. Paxton tells Davy that he is heading back to ASU as he likes being a teacher. Davy jokes that he'll actually make a difference because kids pay way more attention to hot people. Paxton advises her not to reinvent herself at Princeton. She's good the way she is. He adds that if her first couple weeks at Princeton are rough, she can always call him. Davy hugs him, saying that he was a really nice boyfriend, but he is an even better friend. Davy and her friends play Never Have I Ever. She is then shocked to see Ben showing up at the wedding party. Ben flew all the way across the country to confess that he loves her. Davy says it back and the pair leaves when Kamala offers to cover for her. They ride a scooter and head to his place. They kiss and get intimate. The next morning, Ben realizes that they should be together as New York and New Jersey aren't that far away. She kisses him and says that she is in. Nalini is surprised to see Davy wide awake and fully packed. Before leaving, Davy heads to her shrine and expresses her gratitude for having an awesome life full of amazing people who care about her and love her. She mentions how her mom deserves to feel really lucky too. Nalini and Andres are still together. Fabiola works with her robotics team at Howard. Eleanor is on a movie set with Trent, and Paxton is back in college. McConroe narrates that after 4 rocky years of high school, Davy finally had both the boy and the college of her dreams. The couple are shown in bed watching a movie together.